The Columbus Clippers scored 16 runs. Tanner Bibee is not going to want to come to Cleveland. The Clippers offense is scoring him. When he gets to Cleveland and has to pitch with the support of 3 or 4 runs, he's not going to know what to do. Actually, Tanner Bibee will be just fine because he is an absolute stud. We're going to talk about Tanner Bibee, some other minor league prospects that have had good starts to the year, and we are going to talk about the MLB draft and college baseball on today's episode of Locked On Guardians.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Locked On Guardians. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. I want to thank you for making Locked On Guardians your first listen today and every day, wherever it is you get podcast, and that we have your team covered every day. They are pushing the everydayer thing, and it seems that people are liking it. We already had like 4 people. See, Aaron and Ryan, I agree. You are very much everydayers, and I apologize. I know I'm forgetting someone else in there who also said they're an everydayer that I agreed with. But listen, I've had many conversations with Aaron over the years, so I can say that for sure. I'd like to throw out some shout-outs to some old everydayers. Are you still out there? Are you still listening? Is Zol Zenner out there somewhere? Is Shroom Baseball out there somewhere? These are people who last year when I first started doing the YouTube side of things are some of the first people to respond. But we love all of you, no matter how much you watch, but we will be talking about everydayers here and there. And we appreciate everyone who does do that. Because there are those days like yesterday where people are frustrated about baseball and our numbers dip, because I get it. I wouldn't want to listen to things when I was a football fan about the Browns after a loss. That happens, but we're giving you great info. And we're starting with the draft, right? That was our overriding decision.
Yes.
So we have some names. I guess I should be a good co-host here and actually throw up some names. Well, not literally throw up. We're not that type of podcast. But Justin goes through the time of putting together all the banners. So let's jump over to Brian Ellis, Florida Gulf Coast. Jack Wagner was the last player the Cleveland Guardians drafted from there. We went and looked that up. That is not from memory. 7th round pick. So that probably makes him like the 5th or 6th highest drafted player from Florida Gulf Coast. Chris Sale, of course, is number 1. What's funny about this is Brian Ellis, the 102 games straight reaching base, which he reached this past week, broke the record set by Mark Payton. And I believe the only reason Mark Payton got to set that record is because he didn't sign with Cleveland as a day 3 pick as a junior. He went back to Texas for another year. Listen, Mark Payton made it to the big leagues. No one can ever take that away from him.
Take the money.
Take the money and run when it comes to being a draft guy. But, and he's also probably going to get his number retired, probably going to be like a Hall of Famer for Texas baseball. Did a lot there. But for Brian Ellis, at 102 games is a huge accomplishment. So just wanted to shout him out. And then we've talked a lot about John Watts Brown. So let's talk about some hitters who also kind of showed up in the Cape. 3 guys in particular, I think, jump in here. We've already talked about Matt Shaw a little bit, who excelled in the Cape and has been solid for Maryland and hit like an almost 500-foot home run, some big-time power. But Tommy Troy has been really good. And yes, there used to be a time where you avoided everyone from Stanford because they never made it. But
Ryan Garco. Excuse me.
Ryan Garco might have been the best hitter from Stanford for a decade. Like, did Brent Francisco also go to Stanford?
Yes.
Yeah, right. Like those 2 might have been the most successful Stanford hitters for a decade. It was bad. The Stanford swing was a thing, and now it's not. The coaching changed 5 years ago. About 4
Jody
years
Garrett.
Ago. Oh, I think you're right.
Yeah,
man, they love.
I'm sorry.
Why did they?
For a while they did. For a while, the Indians seemed to like.
Yeah, why was Shapiro obsessed with drafting guys? Like, this is where the new organization's good about, like, where maybe this is the whole thing of like draft from a program who can't develop, then we'll develop them. But I feel like it's hard to, it's the same problem Virginia's had. Like, Virginia teaches a very specific approach. To be fair,
to be fair, Francisco, Garco, and Garrett all had decent big league careers. Like they weren't washes, like a lot of the guys in Stanford have been. But anyway, go on, Tommy Troy.
Austin Wilson, the guy that I loved, who was a complete wash.
Yeah. Mariners, right?
Sounds right. Like a day 2, day 3 guy. I mean, his stock dropped. Like he could have been a top 15 pick out of high school. It's just one of those sad. Take the money and run. Whoa, take the money and run. Woo woo.
Tommy Troy.
I don't want to get us like kicked off of YouTube for copyright infringement, so I'm going to end that there. Tommy Troy is currently hitting 424, 514 on base, 696 slugging. In the Cape, he was, let's see, a 302, 387, 354. So the power wasn't quite as high, but he's hitting some tape measure shots this year. His strikeout percentage is 11, basically 12%. He's walking more than he strikes out. He uses the whole field. He's a good athlete. He can play. He can. I think he's mostly played shortstop, second base for them. I think his arm would allow him to get away at third. You can play him all over the diamond. Good contact, some better power than you'd think. Does a bit of everything. And yeah, he's one of those guys that him and Kyle Teal, who we're not going to mention today, we talked about previously, like, and Jack Hurley, I mentioned, like, these are guys that may slide out of the top 20, but probably all should be in that discussion there. I'm going to jump to another infielder, Rikuu Nishida, who I believe was at a community college last year before going to Oregon. Yeah. No power, really. Like he's run into a few. He's got 2 home runs, 6 doubles, but this is a Guardians guy to the core. Like when you read reports about him on the Cape, like people loved him there. Like he is just like a high energy, whole field guy. Like I don't want to get myself in trouble by like saying there's some Steve Kwan here just because of Asian players, but it's more like Kwan. They're both 5'6", right? Isn't Kwan 5'6"?
5'7" maybe on a good day.
Yeah, so it's more that it's a similar height. They never strike out. Nishida is the only player in the top 20 from one of the top 4 baseball divisions in college baseball. Like, because that's the thing. Like most of those hardest guys to strike out are guys who play in lower divisions where the stuff isn't as good, and he is the only guy in the top 20 from a major program, that plays against harder stuff, teams. So that is, again, it's not, I don't want to get myself in trouble. It's not, it's size. It's an impossibility to strike out. It's that he gets described as a glue guy in the Prospects Live report I read on him, that it's that player who always seems to take the extra base, who's a smart player, runs well. And just unusual because you don't see a lot of guys who went to a Japanese high school playing college ball.
My only fun fact about Rikuu Nishida is that his first home run of his college career, his first home run of his career this season, I don't think he even had one at the last school he was at, but he hit it with a wood bat. I don't know how many home runs does he have now? Is it just the one?
It's two. I think the other one was one that was like an inside the Parker. I think it was a little league home run.
Well, his first one came with the wood bat. Because I remember seeing it on Twitter. And everyone was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, he went.
Don't know why he was doing with the wood bat, but I do remember seeing it on Twitter.
I mean, if you type Rikuu Nishida, it comes up. That one comes up on like Fox News for whatever reason. Like that's one of the ones that kind of, apparently they're running some baseball stuff there, but yeah, he prefers hitting with wood. After finding out it was legal, he made the switch. So that's another thing in his favor. Like you don't have to worry about him. And yeah, good athlete, lots of things. Like he feels like a 3rd, 4th round. Keep your eye out. And again, hopefully no one's gonna see that as anything other than the fact that it's size and hitting profile. Because I honestly hate those types of comps. Jaden Woods stands out as a super athletic guy with 2 pitches, low to mid 90s fastball, high arm slot, and I think it's the curve that people typically like. But he has a really nice fastball. He has an arm slot that they have shown some interest in the past. We know they love athletes. He is not the biggest guy. Left-handed pitcher. I think need to rewrite in there. We have right-handed on YouTube, but that's my bad. I think I said left-handed, or right-handed when I was passing the info. So I'm going to own that one. But yeah, he's got 2 pitches right now. He's a great athlete. He's 6'2". The fastball is a legitimate weapon. I don't know if he's going to be more in a reliever, but like also Cleveland loves to draft guys from bad developmental programs. University of Georgia, Emerson Hancock, Cole Wilcox. Remember those guys? It has not exactly worked out well. Derek Lilliquist, I believe, is still the highest drafted player from the University of Georgia history. It's not good. So he fits. And then we have to do an all-namer here. Bryce Warrecker. Like, that's an awesome name. Yeah, I know. Warrecker. And he is 6'8", 225. I think he was the Cape Cod pitcher of the year. Cleveland does have a history of drafting guys from Cal Poly. He's got good walk rates. His strikeout rates. I keep saying rakes. Spent too much time doing yard work today. But his strikeout rates are okay. They're not spectacular, but he's a big guy. His grandfather was like a pitching coach at Santa Barbara High School for 40 years, or just a coach. So that coach's family kid who's huge and went to a small Cal school. And Cleveland has drafted a lot of the Thomas Panones and the Kerry Matthews and throwing out, hey, listen, Panone got to the big leagues. That was a successful pick.
Yeah.
But they've drafted a lot. Isn't Point Loma where Mike Capri's came from part of the Cal
Nazarene? Yeah.
Yeah.
Loma, yeah.
So they tend to draft a guy or two from that system. So just keep Warrecker since he pitched well in the Cape, and he's an interesting developmental story.
Yep. All right. Plenty of good college baseball stuff for you to get ready for the draft. And then in just a moment, we are going to get into some of the best performances, most interesting, notable performances in the Guardians minor league system this week. All right. Well, have you ever downloaded a app or signed up for a subscription, and maybe it was a free trial to watch one of those TV shows you really wanted to try, but you didn't want to pay for the TV channel? I've done it. I've paid for Stars. I've paid for Apple TV. I've screwed up. RocketMoney is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions and monitors your spending. It helps you lower your bills all in one place. You can try it free for 30 days. Those apps you can try for 30 days, and you just kind of forget about it. So stop throwing your money away. Cancel the unwanted subscriptions, the ones you forgot about that you didn't even know you had. Manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/LockedOnMLB. That is rocketmoney.com/LockedOnMLB. rocketmoney.com/MLB. Speaking of things you paid for, if you're stressing out about getting tickets to a game, a concert you really want to go to, Cavs playoff tickets, no idea how Cavs playoff tickets are growing right now. Guardians tickets, they had good attendance the first homestand. But if you are ever worried or stressed out about buying tickets, I always am for opening day and for playoff games. Game Time is the place for last-minute ticket deals. Forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. You can get flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, all that stuff. Game Time guarantee means you will always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section or a row for less, Game Time is going to credit you 110% of the difference. Snag tickets at the stress of Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Why would you not do that? Terms will apply. But again, create an account and redeem your Game Time code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right. Well, you should definitely be finding tickets soon for Tanner Bibee's Major League debut. I don't know when it's going to happen, Jeff, but
I still think it's Allen first.
Sweaty tonight. It probably will be just on logistics, but I don't know, man. I got sweaty watching his start tonight. Like, it was good.
Especially with, for us, I feel like we really should just be like standing up right now and doing victory laps around this because, we were back in, remember people like in the comments being like, okay, you guys need to slow down on Bibee, or like, you guys are it's like, no, this is why we
hit the gas. Hit the gas.
No. Yeah. I was telegraphing, I think before anyone that he was the number one prospect in system. I might be wrong there, but I think I was like, he has an impeccable health record. He's a better athlete than you think. Every report I got is this kid works his tail off. If he had a tail, it'd be gone from work. And then he just keeps adding velocity. Like and maybe someone's going to accuse me of being like, well, it's because he came on the show. And sometimes you guys like those guys.
Probably.
He's really good. And like tonight, if you missed it, go watch the highlights. I didn't get to watch it, but I watched the highlights and sweet Jesus. Yeah, I mean, the vertical break with that velocity, it's unhittable.
Yeah. I mean, he threw a bunch of changeups, 5 swings, 2 misses, 5 called strikes to the changeup. There was an at-bat against Nick Sogard. And a couple batters before Nick Sogard came up, he threw like 98, 97, 98. I think it was Jorge Alfaro. So Nick Sogard's coming to the plate, and he's like, all right, Bibey's throwing, 95, 96, 98. Like, I'm going to hunt fastball. Tanner Bibee comes in and just throws him a curveball for a strike, backdoors one. And then he throws 3 strike changeups. 2 of them were strikes. And the last one's a called strike looking. Like, he tripled up on his changeup. And he's done that before. He was throwing 1-0 changeups, 2-0 changeups. Like, he just did not care about these guys. He was just like, I'm just going to throw this. And, poor Nick Sogard didn't know what he was looking for. 8 curveballs, 5 called strikes, 3 swings, 2 balls in play, none of them particularly hard. That's supposed to be quote unquote his worst pitch. Like, to me, that might be his worst pitch. It's like a 50 on the 2080 scouting scale. Was throwing 90, 94, 96. He hit 99.4. I thought he was going to 100 tonight. Wouldn't be surprised if it happens. But he also loves to kind of dial it back, too, to kind of give hitters a different look. So, like, you get to the 5th or 6th inning, and he's throwing like 93, 95. You're like, he's slowing down. He does that on purpose and then just goes out and throws 97, 98 to the next hitter to throw him off. So, I just hope Tanner Bibee's debut is not when I'm in Jamaica come June. I would like it to be before then. So after my wedding is over, I can enjoy it like everybody else. But
he's going to be called up while you're on your honeymoon. This is a guarantee.
I'm guessing. No,
it's
guaranteed.
guaranteed.
I really think so.
It's
I'm
when
in Jamaica,
you're on your honeymoon.
Yeah. No, well, they would be. Well, actually, that would make sense because the Guardians would be in San Diego, and he's not from San Diego, but he's from California. That'd be fitting if it was against San Diego, if that's what happened, or if it happened in Arizona. Speaking of other pitchers who threw hard, Gavin Williams, not as impressive of a stat line tonight as Tanner Bibee, but reportedly one of the fans that was there tweeted he had 101 on the gun. He's assuming the stadium gun was accurate.
It's hot in Akron. It's very hot.
Well,
in Akron.
They were in Bowie.
Okay.
I don't know for sure what Bowie's gun is. What I will say about Bowie, and I'm sorry, I know people who broadcast there, and I don't mean this as a slight to them. Bowie has one of the worst MLB TV setups I've ever seen. And they also didn't even have the game on tonight because of technical difficulties. And that's
so you heard it here. He hates you all. He hates.
Oh, I know people in Bowie. They're good people, and it's not on them. It's just that camera. I don't watch when the Akron is in Bowie because it's not. It's fine if you just want to watch for fun. I'm watching for like specific reasons, things I want to see, and I want to get a good angle of certain things. That's just not a good angle. That's why I watched Columbus tonight. That's why I watched Lake County because. They were in Fort Wayne. They have a good TV setup. I did keep an eye on the Lynchburg game the last couple nights. Tanner Bibee. Geez, I'm having Bibee in the brain. Another guy we really like, Nate Furman. Off to the start we kind of expected. I almost feel like he is too advanced. Nate Furman has a 1%. It's going to change after tonight because he did strike out, but he has a 1% swinging strike rate. Jeff, 1% swinging strike rate.
Decent,
I know it's
right.
Yeah, it's 20. No, it's 20 plate appearances, but and it's going to go up a little bit because he struck out. But the guy just doesn't miss. Like it's insane. I will say, and I don't know. We've talked about how poor the pitching can be in that level. The only thing I would say so far is I want to see Nate swing a little more because he did take some strikes that he probably could have swung at and done something with. So I don't want to see him get passive, but. So far, so good. Brayan Rocchio also off to a fantastic start in Columbus. I don't know how on earth that you're going to keep him down there. Like, you already have Gabriel Ellis in the roster, but Brayan Rocchio is just crushing the ball. He had like 2 more hits than an RBI tonight, another double, 905 OPS, and 50 plate appearances coming into Thursday night. Hitting the ball like really hard. He's got some of the better exit velocities on the team as far as AAA. I just don't know how you keep the guy down there. 10 strikeouts, 8 walks, 11 RBI already. He did make a weird error at shortstop, but he recovered a couple nice plays. So I just don't know what you do at shortstop with that. Guy Lipscomb, Another guy I know you liked.
Good speed. Might be one of the fastest guys in the system.
Yeah,
kind of got overlooked with how good Nate Furman is, but I think he's also worth watching.
Yeah, I did try to time him watching video in Lynchburg tonight, and he was about sub 4 to first, so that tracks. He has a 38% walk rate and a 7% strikeout rate so far. Again, super small sample size, 13 plate appearances, but I wouldn't be surprised if his approach is just too advanced for that level because the pitching stinks. Belmont. Yeah. Another one I'm surprised at so far. He had a good first start, or he didn't have it was not a start. It was a piggyback roll, but Hunter Stanley threw 5 innings the other night. So I'm a little surprised to see them give him starters innings, but he pitched really good. I thought he'd fly fast as a reliever, but his first outing, 6 strikeouts, 5 innings, a walk and 3 hits. I'm very curious to see what they do with that going forward if he continues to piggyback.
Yeah, I always thought of him as like one of, if I was to make a list of the 5 most interesting relief options, he would have made it before the year began.
Yeah.
Maybe it's to get more innings because he missed a ton of time last year.
That's true. And he was good in the AFL last year. He just went to the AFL last year because they needed him to get innings. So interesting. And then Josh Wolf is a reliever now, and his first couple outings has been pretty good. 44% strikeout rate and 4 2/3 innings. I'm interested to see what Josh Wolf does as a reliever. We saw, I think, Baseball America had some scouting notes on him from Major League scouts who were watching him in spring training and said he looked good as a reliever. I think Keith Law had something on him too, saying he was throwing 94, 96 and had a good slider. Doesn't know if he has a good third pitch, but as a reliever, he could be interesting. So 8 strikeouts, 2 walks, 2 hits, 4 2/3. I'm down with Josh Wolf as a reliever. I'm on board with that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the minute they traded for him. I'm like, he's a reliever. Like him and Lenny Torres. I'm like, he is. Those 2 guys should just be moved to the pen and forget about it.
All right. Well, we asked you for some mailbag questions, and we are going to answer those in just a second.
Before we get to that, I got to talk about Pro Baseball GM, which I spent about an hour playing today. Again, got my team built up. One of the hacks early on, can I tell you, is to sign a bunch of terrible players and cut them because it's got an RPG element. If you like that as well, your GM starts bad and you get bonuses to your negotiation skills, which make it easier to negotiate contracts. So if you sign a bunch of terrible players and cut them, like it's a little bit monotonous, but if you cut 50 guys, then you get 2 of those bonuses right at the start to help raise your level. So that's a hack to do that in the game. I'm kind of lazy, so I actually don't do it until I'm like in season 40, but they're not season 40. You can only go 25 in our current one. But I just had like 3 World Series appearances and won 127 games in one season. So it's going well. I really enjoy it. It is a fun game. It is easy to get yourself lost in it and just keep turning and burning. Go check out Ultimate Pro Baseball GM today, and I want to do the full read so you know where to get it here. Locked On Guardians listeners get a 100% free boost. I've used this boost to their franchise using the promo code Locked On, all caps, in the game store. So make sure to check it out. Download the game. Just visit probaseballgm.com, scan the code, or look it up in app stores. That's probaseballgm.com. Ultimate Baseball GM. Start your dynasty today. I'm crushing this league. I'm going to win it all. If they let me enter all of my seasons, it would just be my name all the way down the leaderboard.
Like the guy who goes to an arcade and just breaks every score.
Yeah,
and nobody else can top him.
That's me right now with this. Like I said, the closest person is 1,000 points behind me.
Do people know what an arcade is still? Are we talking people who are you old enough to have gone to arcades?
I showed my arcade cabinet over here before.
We're going to do that at Classic Park this year too.
Yeah, we did. We talked about an arcade, man. I've got such a cough. I'm going to kick it to you here.
All right, let's do mailbag questions. Let's run through these. It's been a long episode already. We're going to go a little bit longer for you because you asked a lot of questions and we want to answer them all. And they tell us we're allowed to have longer episodes when we have listener interaction. So if you want longer episodes from us, which many of you on YouTube do, ask us more questions and we'll try to get to them. So Jeff, MTOF Nern on Twitter, is Taylor Burns going to be this generation's Paul Shuey?
God, that would be
great, right? That would be awesome. I don't think Paul Shuey had a good fastball, or at least he had a splitter. Like Burns has like a good slider, a decent curveball, and fringy command. I just don't see the. I think he's a reliever. I just hope the fastball plays up in the pen if he ever goes that route.
Paul Shuey for a long time was was the number 3 best WAR of any reliever that they drafted and developed. This is a team where like David Risky was 4th or 5th on that list. It didn't go well in terms of reliever development. Paul Shuey was the number 2 overall pick. Fun fact: one of Paul Shuey, Mark Lewis, Greg Swindell, and Rick Manning are the guys they drafted when they've never picked one, but they picked 2 many times. And those are the 4 guys. One has been good, unfortunately. And
Shuey was drafted as a reliever, first of all.
Yeah, which is also crazy. I mean, he was a reliever in college. There was some talk of trying to make him a starter because he had good stuff, but he was the last of those picks too. He was I think he was one of Hart's first selections. Like that was kind of nearing the end. That was after the Hank Peters era. Hank Peters had taken Mark Lewis in his time, and Greg Swindell.
Hank Peters did better stuff eventually, or before that.
I mean, Hank Peters is the greatest drafter this franchise has seen. He authored the greatest draft in franchise history, even though they lost the second pick for Jesse Orosco and the first pick for failure to sign Calvin Murphy, aka Kyler Murray's uncle. But yeah, Burns is, I don't know, he looks like a quad A guy. I don't see it. He's not a top 30 prospect for either of us. If you turn into Paul Shuey, that's fantastic. Paul Shuey pitched like a decade in the big leagues. That's the bet. Like that's the ceiling outcome. I don't see it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. If he goes to the bullpen, you can make a different evaluation.
Right now, I got to add one last note. I'm going to do everyone's favorite thing, interrupt. Tanner Burns is right now the perfect test player. Because if someone is hyping Tanner Burns, then they're not actually paying attention to the system. It's just they're hyping a guy who was a first-round pick and was successful. So you can use Tanner Burns to tell who you can listen to and who you shouldn't.
I love that point. Jeff also had another interesting question. Not you. You don't have any good questions, Jeff.
No.
Did Petey Halpa's stock in fandom get inflated because how few notable outfielders in the system when they drafted him? Does Lampy overtake him in the org ratings? I think early on there was a lot of hype about Petey Halpin because there was like that talk of him and Pete Crow Armstrong and who was the other outfielder that was popular, but he didn't end up. He was in that same draft class. I can't remember who it was.
Isaiah Green was the other California.
No. I know it was Green. There was another outfielder in that draft, but I guess there was some hype early on for sure about Petey. He was sneaky, but he's grown, and some of it I think is just I want to say it's not that they don't like Petey Halpin. I think it's more of a joke. Like just I think he became everyone's like favorite prospect to latch onto, and it was just kind of an inside joke for a while. Maybe not. I don't know. I think he's a good player. I don't think he was overhyped. I think the pandemic hurt things, and he came in late 2021. So I don't think Lampy will overtake him. I think that I don't know if Lampy's a center fielder. I know Petey Halpin is. That's my question.
And like they paid a lot of money to get him. That's the thing. You can go back and look at why did they take Carson Tucker? People are still, not happy with that pick because Tucker has been pretty
to get
not
Allen
good.
Halpin.
But yeah, that money allowed them. Oh, Allen was about slot, so it was more just Halpin. Like they did that deal, and that money allowed them to get Halpin and Tolentino. Honestly, that's where the money really went. Maybe Jake Fox as well. Was he that class?
No, Fox was
the year before, but it was like Tolentino. It was Halpin, and they paid Halpin like a second rounder. So I don't think you can overhype a guy when you're paying him like a second rounder. He's, we'll see what he can do this year. He's never going to be like a blue chip guy because there are limitations there, but can he be a good center fielder? Absolutely.
You know what I'm going to say that people are going to hate who Petey Halpin is?
Miles Straw.
Yeah, he's Miles Straw. I think he's a left-handed Miles Straw. He can walk. He doesn't have a lot of punch. Plays good defense. He has speed. He's got a great arm.
So he's Miles Straw, since Miles Straw has reverse platoon splits anyways.
Yes, so he's Miles Straw. I don't know if he can hit lefties or not, but yeah, everyone's going to be like, oh, great, we love this. But Miles Straw is a valuable Major League player, okay? He's got a long-term contract for a reason. But I like Lampy. I love Lamp, but I don't think he's overtaking Petey Halpin anytime soon. We've talked about this one, Lance. We haven't seen Class A touch 100 yet this year. Is there concern for the velo drop? I don't think it's a concern with health or as like issue stuff. Francona said on the post game show on Wednesday, he said that the pace of play is affecting him. He is used to being able to walk around the mound and gather himself and take time between pitches, and he can't do that now because of the pitch clock. So maybe he'll adjust to it and he'll get back to throwing 99, 100, 101. But he might be 97, 98 now, and that's okay. He's just got to locate, and he's got good control. He just has hung a couple cookies for sliders so far.
And, it's cold. He hasn't had a chance to warm up. I think velocity will pick up to some degree just as it gets warmer out and as he gets more reps. No matter what you do in the offseason, it doesn't compare to being in the game and doing it. So I think we'll see a lot of guys' velocity tick up.
Yeah, just give him some time. This question was for me, and I don't even know how to answer it. Dustin wanted to know how many games I make it to a year, MLB captains, whatever. So this year, despite the fact that I'm going to be MIA most of June, or at least the first 2 weeks of June, I'm probably going to get to at least 15 Guardians games. I will probably get to at least 20 captains games, and I will probably get to 1 or 2 Akron games, and I'm hoping to get to at least 1 Columbus game. Maybe when they come to Toledo, I don't know, but yeah, I probably get to 30 baseball games a year, maybe 35, depending on what I'm doing. My busy June may not allow me to do that this year, but we'll see. But yeah, I did make it to more than anybody should. Shout out to my fiance for always wanting to go with me and putting up with that.
Yeah, I'm significantly less living out of state.
Unfortunately. I've heard other people, though, who have said this. John Turner wants to know if Zach Collins keeps playing this well, is there any chance they bring him up and cut Valoria? No, the defense is suspect, but the offense would be more than welcome. I'm going to say no. The only reason Valoria is on the roster is for defense, and they don't care if he hits because he's there as the safety blanket when they pinch run for Zunino and they pinch hit for Cam Gallagher. Or they pinch it for Cam Gallagher and they want to give Zunino a day off. I think Valoria is just a safety blanket, and eventually he'll be cut himself, or Gallagher will. I don't know, but I'm surprised they even had 3 catchers in the roster. But I will say, I do like it. I think it's a good idea, because they have a short bench. They don't have a deep bench. I would like to see them get another bench player up.
And they don't really use the bench that much. We don't see a ton of. When was the last time we saw? It feels like Gabby Arias plays once a week right now. Listen, he's not really a catcher. He's a butcher back there. And this is a guy for his whole career has absolutely destroyed AAA pitching and then can't hit when he gets to the big leagues. He looks like the classic quad A type. I don't think there's any, no, this isn't happening.
Emergency. Yeah. No disrespect to the late Andy Marte, RIP, but Andy Marte was the same way. He crushed minor league pitching, came up and could never hit major league pitching. So no ill will towards Andy Marte. Jacob Bronny on Twitter. By the way, Jacob Bronny, this is hilarious. We know last week or earlier this week we were talking about how the Guardians hadn't hit a home run in 8 games or 7 games. And then he said it'd be hilarious if Ahmed goes yard, and Ahmed went yard. Of course, Ahmed giveth and Ahmed taketh back. But Jacob Bronny said, wants to know, Logan Allen has surpassed the unwritten quote-unquote requirement of AA, AAA starts before promotion. Any chance we see him while Savali is out, or would they not do that so early this year?
I think he's got a chance of doing.
Bieber only made 4 AAA starts?
8.
Was it 8? Really?
It was 8. Yes, I looked it up.
All right, so Allen's already surpassed that. Yes, I think Plesac didn't have many either. I gotta be honest. The year that Plesac came up, he was not on my radar at all. He had a pretty good season. He was having a decent minor league season. He was pressed into action due to injury, but
he was on my radar since college, and he was that guy that I was debating him as a top 10 prospect just because getting a chance to see him.
He had 4 AAA starts, by the way. Plesac.
Was it even that many? 4, and
yeah.
No,
he's got a total of 5 if you include rehab.
Yeah, but he was But he was a June guy even when he came up. I think Allen is the guy who you could see in May. I think, but again, the other thing you have to remember with Bibee is we're looking at a potential ace. They're gonna, at this point in time, they're not going to get a pick for him. So they're going to do, they're going to make sure that he is clear of Super 2 before they call him up. They play that game with everyone. They're going to play that game here. Logan Allen is not really an ace. He has a chance to be a good, valuable member of your rotation, but I think Logan Allen could get a call up in May. I think Bibee, you're probably looking when Justin is out of the country just so they can spite him.
That's so rude. Just so rude. Just do it now. I don't care. Yeah, I don't know. It depends on how the Hunter Gaddis thing goes. Like, I think we talked about it yesterday. Battenfield, if you're an everydayer and you listen to it, we said Battenfield has earned another start. And he will get another start, I would assume. The Gaddis thing probably is in flux, and I don't know if it makes sense to turn to Connor Pilkington if Gaddis isn't working out. Probably would just rather flip Curry and see how that goes. But, if that's not working out, I would say Allen. And we don't know how long Savali is going to be out for. They haven't really said. It is what it is. So, yeah, I could say while Savali is out, you could see Allen. It really depends on how long they want to stick with this Hunter Gaddis thing and how bad it goes if he nukes their bullpen. Jeff, this is for you most specifically. Scott Hauser, interested in what you think about Alonzo Treadwell of UCLA.
So yeah, he checks out in terms of strikeout rate and walk rate. And yeah, that's like where Garrett Cole and Trevor Bauer came from. But Plutko might be
how dare you?
I was getting that. He might be the third best guy. Like this is a program that I think of like Kyle Molnar and Justin Hooper. And guys go there and just don't seem to develop. It has not been a great, and there's some overuse that has occurred as well. And there's been a lot of injuries. And I think teams are nervous when it comes to UCLA. Scott, I know specifically mentioned, like, could he be a comp B round? I don't think I'm looking at him as more day two. Because again, there's just higher risk with UCLA pitchers. A lot of them have gotten hurt.
Poor Gage Jump. Took his name out of the draft too.
Did he? Is he? Yeah, because I completely. He's one of my highest drafted. Yeah, he was like one of the highest drafted guys who did not sign, and yeah, he's really undersized for a pitcher. But then he went to UCLA and is,
arm fall off.
Yeah, he's pitched 2 innings in 2022. Oh God, not at all this year.
So. Yeah, he had TJ. So. Bummer. I really like Gage Jump. Don't take your name out of the draft. That doesn't make sense to me.
No, never do that.
Garrett, 0 to 100%. Where do you put Josh Bell's chances of being a Guardian next year? If he keeps playing the way he's playing, 100%, because he's not going to opt out of that contract.
Yeah. No,
I don't know.
I'm kind of feeling. I'm thinking 80%, because maybe he gets really hot. But I think there's also going to be a degree of like taking what's secure as he is a year older. And he just, while the numbers are consistent, Josh Bell has not been consistent in his career. Like, it's a weird thing. Like, he's been consistently like average to slightly above, but he has had really high years and then kind of mediocre years. And he's had really great first half and then there's just been no consistency throughout, and that's why he took the contract with Cleveland he took, right? Is so he could finally show some consistency. And then he's come out very inconsistent again. So I think there's a good chance he is still here, which is fine because John Kenzie Noel right now doesn't look like he knows which end of the bat you hit with.
I will say he has been better.
He's better, yeah.
We'll see. He's still pretty young too. I mean, it's high risk, so we'll see. I'm 75 to 80% with Bell there. Hopefully he gets a little bit hotter, but yeah, is what it is there. And our last question, actually, before we move on, I want to go back to the Treadwell thing. You mentioned, since we're allowed to go a little bit longer because of this as being a listener interaction show, you said that Treadwell's walk and strikeout rates check out in the Guardians range. Can you explain to people what that is? Because some people don't know. What is Guardians range?
So, okay, there's a few things when I'm looking at a guy, like the joke before they drafted Gavin Williams and even like the last few years is you're looking for a strikeout rate. For me, under 3, he's at a 2.6. I know some say under 2, and that's all the better.
Walk, right?
Walk per 9. So that's, how many walks they average if they were to pitch a full 9-inning game. He's at a 2.6 this year. He was at a 1.1 last year. And then the other one is strikeouts per 9. I always joke it's double digits. So basically I'm looking for strikeouts per 9 being if you pitch 9 innings on average, how many strikeouts would you have? Those numbers, they often go super high. Like they're looking at guys at a 13 or 14. But he is at a 10.6 this year, 11.9 last year. So again, last year's numbers are actually better than this year, which is another problem at UCLA of lack of development or growth, where a guy seems to regress in the draft year. I just have some struggles, but yeah, it's I don't know,
let's go to the last question.
Yeah.
This is a good one to
strikeouts over 10, double-digit strikeouts per 9, walk rate under 3 per 9.
Yeah.
Slider, release point.
Yeah. High release point, guys to improve year over year, all that stuff. LC Deej asked us on YouTube, wants to give a quick explanation on the 40-man roster, a couple of rules regarding and how long guys have to stay up. This DFAs, which is designated for assignment. So the 40-man roster is anybody that can play in the major leagues at any given time. So, like, for instance, Juan Burrito is in Lake County this year, but he is on the 40-man roster. So in theory, Cleveland could call him up right now without having to make a move on the 40. They would just have to make a move on the 26-man roster, which is your major league roster. There's no time frame they have to stay in the majors. You could call up a guy one day. We saw this last year. Ian Chabot and I don't know, Johan Ramirez. There's a couple guys. Ian Hamilton, I think, was up. I don't know, did Ian Hamilton make it up? I don't know if he did, but
no, not with. I mean, he was called up when with Minnesota as a COVID exception.
Yeah, well, okay, maybe that was true, but literally, you can call up a guy for a day on the 40, and you could cut him the next day. You DFA him the next day, and he's gone. If you need to open a spot, you come have 40 guys in the 40-man roster. Trying to think what are the other things that you should know. What is it for? If you are drafted out of college, or if you're 19 or older, after 4 seasons in the minors, you have to be out of the 40-man roster, or you will be exposed to the Rule 5 draft. For 18-year-olds or younger high school players, it's 5 years. Although I think that's changing, right? It's how long you have till you're a minor league free agent. That's a different thing.
And
yeah, you can designate.
Yeah, I was just gonna say how long guys have to stay down. Did you say that?
Well, that would be a 26-man thing. Like if you DFA a guy off a 40-man roster, it's a moot point. You go through waivers, and if nobody picks them up, you can outright them to the minor leagues. Or if they have enough time in the big leagues, they can refuse the assignment and become a free agent. So there's that. I'm trying to think if there's any other rules to go along with the 40. We talked about Logan Allen a lot. He's got to be on the 40 before this fall because of he'll be eligible for Rule 5 because he was a 2020 draft pick and he was over the age of 18. And once guys are on the 40, yeah, they can play in the majors, and you could send them back down, up and down. The only new thing is the last year this just changed with the CPA. Guys only have 5 options per season, so you used to be able to option guys up and down. Like the Rays would abuse this. Now you have 5 times a year. So if you option a guy from the 26-man roster 4 times, if you do it a 5th time, the guy is exposed to waivers. So that's another thing to think about too with calling up pitchers, like if they add Logan Allen or Bibee to the 40, or moving Connor Pilkington up instead of going with Hunter Gaddis. And I don't think double headers count in this. I have to double check the rules. Maybe our buddy.
I don't think they do. I think I believe you're right.
Double headers do not count against the 5-man option rule. 5 option rule.
Yes,
but all those guys
there were guys who would have had to have been cut if that wasn't the case.
Yeah, well, I know COVID stuff didn't count the last couple of years, and April didn't count last year because they had a 28-man roster because of the shortened spring training because of the lockout. So that's all the questions. Thank you for all the questions. That was great. This is one of the things that allows us to go longer. I know some people want us to do longer shows. We want to do longer shows, truthfully, but it is what it is. I'm going to leave you with this, Jeff. I'm going to laugh at this. You want to feel good about yourself. The Twins bashed the Yankees tonight, which doesn't make me feel very good about the Guardians. But Javi Baez pimped the double and forgot how many outs there were, and he got thrown on the bases like a nincompoop. He got pulled from the game because of that. Bravo, Detroit. You are stuck with that contract. Good for you. This is why people say, oh, spend money. Yeah, you could spend money, but let's spend money on Andres Gimenez. Let's spend money on Tristan McKenzie or Jose Ramirez or Emmanuel Clase, Miles Straw, Tristan McKenzie, Stephen Kwan. Let's spend that money. Let's not spend money like Javi Baez money.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Like, going back to our sponsor, Ultimate Baseball GM, I never sign a single free agent in any of my runs. Why? Because you pay for past production, and then it makes it harder to navigate. So it just doesn't make sense to go out unless you're getting the best of the best, then I understand. But for the most part, getting the Javier Baez's, getting that tier of guys always blows up in your face.
Enjoy. Oh, happy trails to, not happy trails, but Roberto Perez season-ending surgery for the Giants.
He is made of toothpicks and rubber bands, and you can't pull me off that point. Season-ending injury in the first month this year, last year, the year before that one of the greatest humors of all time is him saying the only vaccine he needs is his immune system, because that dude's body is the most fragile material on the planet Earth. I think if you look at him wrong, his shoulder just pops. My goodness, it's. I don't. You think how often can this keep happening? And it just. I make fun of Aaron Savale. Aaron Savale is a gall darn Iron Man compared to Roberto Perez. I feel like if he was in a fist fight with Stephen Hawking, he would come out injured somehow. I know Stephen Hawking is no longer alive, but I still think he would come out injured even though he's not there. I don't understand. I agree with that likely to break.
No show tomorrow. Thanks for listening all week, and beat the freaking Nationals, man. Come on.
Yes.
None of this.
I would like to see Alex Call play well, but I would like to see them lose in spite of it. That's what I'm going for. I'm going to root for the undersized guy who has overperformed, and I'm going to hope that they need to crush this team this weekend. We're going to come back next week and talk about how they doubled their home run total over this weekend. That's
swept the Nationals.
Swept the Nationals, doubled their home runs, and Josh Bell had like 4 of them, and he's going to be off the snide, and everyone's going to be happy and up, and that's where we're going to be. So thank you again. Remember to rate and review. You can tag us with Everydayer. That is our new network push. We retweet and favorite those now. Of course, we, as always, respond to the comments, even when the Yankees fans come in and get angry. Again, can't be angry that a right call was made. But thank you all for watching, reviewing, listening, and go Guardians, go.